Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras called snap national elections after a severe defeat by the opposition Conservatives in the European Parliament elections on Sunday. Provisional results showed ruling party Syriza trailing the opposition New Democracy Party by about 10 points. "I will request immediate declaration of national elections from the President of the Republic," Tsipras said in a speech. The government's current term was due to expire in October. New Democracy leader Kyriakos Mitsotakis demanded Tsipras resign, saying he had lost the popular mandate. The Prime Minister must assume his responsibilities. For the good of the country, he must resign and the country should hold national elections the soonest possible, Mitsotakis said. Related slideshow, Politicians, Then and Now, provided by Photo Services. President of China, President of the US, Prime Minister of the UK, President of Russia, Chancellor of Germany, Prime Minister of Canada, President of France, former President of the US, former Prime Minister of the UK, Prime Minister of Russia, former President of South Africa, Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister of Israel, former Prime Minister of Spain, Finance Minister of Indonesia, Prime Minister of Bangladesh, State Councillor of Myanmar, First Minister of Scotland, Prime Minister of Brunei, Foreign Secretary of the UK, former President of Chile, former President of Liberia, Supreme Leader of Iran, former Prime Minister and President of Zimbabwe, Prime Minister of Singapore, former Governor of New Jersey, U.S., Senator from Kentucky, U.S., former President of France, former President of the U.S., former Secretary of State of the U.S., former Prime Minister of Kenya, former President of France, former Prime Minister of Australia, former Vice President of the U.S., former Prime Minister of Japan, former Prime Minister of Italy, former President of South Korea, former President of Indian National Congress, former President of Indonesia, former Prime Minister of UK, former President of the US, former Secretary of State of the US, former Governor of Massachusetts, US, member of the National Assembly of Pakistan, former Mayor of New York City, New York, US, Minority Leader and former Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, former President of Sri Lanka, former Prime Minister of Pakistan, former President of the U.S., former President of Brazil, former Vice President of the U.S., former President of China, former President of Ireland, former Prime Minister of Canada, former Prime Minister of New Zealand, former Chief Executive of Hong Kong, former President of Argentina, former Prime Minister of Denmark, former Vice President of the U.S., former President of South Korea, former President of the U.S., former President of Pakistan. A party source said the earliest a vote could take place would be June 30 to allow for preparations. Syriza stormed the Greek political scene on an anti-austerity platform 6 years ago, then suffered a backlash after having to impose cutbacks as part of a third bailout in 2015. Greece emerged from close financial supervision by its lenders in August 2018. The government this month introduced tax cuts and pension payouts, unwinding some of the austerity measures. The handouts may have averted a steeper defeat in the European election, political analyst Thanos Varamis said. More damagingly, Tsipras signed a deeply unpopular agreement that resolved a long-running name dispute with North Macedonia in June. Tsipras' coalition partner, Panos Kaminos, pulled out of the government in January, triggering a confidence vote in parliament that the Prime Minister won comfortably. Tsipras signed the name change deal on the banks of the Prispes Lake bordering Albania, Greece and North Macedonia. It officially came into effect in February. For most, use of the Macedonia name is an appropriation of Greek heritage by the country's northern neighbor. Syriza committed suicide in Prispes, Kaminos, his former coalition partner, tweeted on Sunday evening.